Okay, hello everyone. We're going to get started now with exploring some keywords and exactly what they are, what they do, what they're used for, but more importantly, where to find them. A lot of times when you're applying for federal jobs, keywords are mentioned, and it's because they're very, very important. In fact, they make the difference between your getting an interview and getting and not getting an interview. They're very important, and you need to learn how to extract them out of the announcement and massage them into your resume, and then present them in such a way that the HR specialist who's going to be reviewing your resume determines that you are qualified for the position. That's the key. That's the key part we're after. That's the focus and the goal of this presentation here. So we're going to discuss why keywords are important. I'm going to introduce you to a keyword tool that I made as a little cheat sheet for you. It should kind of make things a little bit quicker and easier for you to understand because I have links embedded into it that will take you to the places where you can find additional keywords for the announcements you're looking for. I'm going to show you how to locate these keywords that'll make your resume and KSAs much more powerful. That's the gist of this presentation. It's going to be broken up, I think, into 8 or 9 sections, and each section is going to be cover a different area where you can pull these keywords from. But once you've gone through all the videos, you'll have a very thorough understanding of what it is you need to look for in the announcements that you want to apply to, because it is very, very important that you do customize your resume for every single job you apply for. And at the heart of that customization effort is using these keywords and extracting them and putting them into your resume. So keywords, who cares? Why are they important? Well, the truth of the matter is they're in the announcement for a reason. They're in the announcement because we want you to know what we're looking for. And in that sense, it's very important for you to extract these keywords, put them in your application, and then give them back to us. So we're handing you the keywords and we want you to hand them back to us. All right, that demonstrates that you have the specialized experience that you need to qualify for a position. But they are in the announcement for a reason, and it's because we want to call your attention to them. We want you to utilize them to determine if you are qualified or not, and then make the decision for yourself whether you want to apply. And then if you do apply, to go ahead and use those keywords to your advantage by putting them in your KSA essay responses or your resume. We actually give them to you on a silver platter. They are spelled out inside the announcement. Most of the resources I'm going to show you are inside the announcement and where to find these keywords. Some are external to the announcement, but primarily the announcement is telling you very specifically what the selecting official is looking for. Because the truth is, how else would the HR specialist who's looking at your resume know you are qualified for a job if you don't use the keywords and speak the language of the announcement? And again, I'm going to harp on this quite a bit, which is you really need to customize your resume for every job you apply for. Do not try to create a strong base resume that you use to apply to a bunch of different jobs unless it's developed for a specific career field and you've already got the keywords in there and you're applying to multiple jobs but in that same career field. If you're trying for different jobs that are in different career fields, then probably a base resume is not going to help you out, and you're going to encounter some frustration in not getting interviewed, and it's because your resume isn't tailored to the job you're applying for. In some instances, some agencies do have keyword scanners, and they will actually screen your resume. The computers will screen your resume and look for specific keywords to make the determination if you meet certain criteria that they're looking for. I believe the CIA has keyword scanners. I think the Army did at one point, and potentially the FBI does. I don't know. I am not an expert on all of those systems or each individual agency's application system, but I do know that there are some out there that do use keyword scanners, and if you're going to be applying to those jobs, then you definitely need to have the keywords in your resume or it's going to go nowhere. A computer is going to weed it out essentially. However, for our purposes, we're going to be focusing on USA Jobs, and in USA Jobs there are no keyword scanners that review your resume prior to your resume landing in the hands of the HR specialist who's on the other side. your resume once it's submitted through KSA Application Manager is going to be reviewed by an HR specialist. So a human being is going to look at your resume. There are no keyword scanners right now. That may come in the future, but as of right now, they don't exist in terms of screening resumes. So where all can you use your keywords? Well, the truth is a lot of people think you can use keywords only in your resume, and the truth is you can actually insert them and embed them and massage them into your cover letter. It gives you an opportunity to go a little bit further in depth than what your resume did when you present keywords on a cover letter. Of course, you can put keywords in a resume, and that's the heart of your application anyways, but don't overlook the fact that you can use keywords also in KSAs and even in follow-up letters. So these keywords can actually be placed in several different documents in your that are in your entire application packet. And that's very handy for you because it gives you essentially 4 different opportunities for you to spell out why you are the best fit for this job. Now, of course, the top 3 bullet points, cover letter, resume, and KSAs, you want those to definitely have keywords because they are submitted prior to an interview, whereas a follow-up letter would be submitted after the fact, after you've already been deemed qualified. But it still sets the tone that you do have the specialized experience for this job and you do want it. So yes, you can include keywords in your follow-up letters. So I'm going to give you a list right now of all of the locations where you can find keywords. This is going to be a summary, a 2-slide summary. And then I'm going to conclude this particular introductory video, and I'm going to go out online recording my screen while I'm showing you where you can go to get these keywords and how to utilize the keyword tool. And I'm going to do that individually for each one of these items I'm going to discuss now. So here's this quick summary. Of course, in USA Jobs, the duties section is primarily going to tell you what sort of duties and responsibilities this position is going to have, and that's going to tell you, typically it's going to give you a lot of keywords that you can use to insert into your resume right from there. They're going to list KSAs. Often that has keywords you can use too. If you're not familiar with KSAs, I'll show you what those are. I do cover those in separate videos, but for the sake of extracting keywords, I will go over them quickly and show you where to find them and what to do once you have found them. Often announcements will have a specialized experience section. Not always, but often. And if they do, there are many times good keywords in there that are kind of tucked away where you can grab those and put those into your resume as well. The occupational questionnaire. This is the questionnaire that everyone dreads once you're applying for a job inside the system. A questionnaire will be presented before you. Often it's rate yourself 1 to 5 on the following criteria. You know, are you an expert? Are you middle road experience wise, or are you an absolute beginner with no knowledge or education in this? So you rate yourself, but those occupational questionnaires actually can have a lot of good keywords in them as well. And in fact, you can extract the occupational questionnaire and take a look at it prior to even going in to apply for a job. You can see the questionnaire, which is really handy. Another place you can go to is looking at announcements that have the same job title as the one you want to apply for. And the reason is because in some cases a job announcement might be really thin on keywords. It may not have very many. Sometimes descriptions or job or duties sections are very thin. They don't have a lot of content at all, and you may only get a few keywords out of them, and that's not handy. So in some instances you can actually go back to USA Jobs and search for jobs with similar titles and go look at other announcements, even if they're with other agencies. You can do that, and oftentimes you can find really good keywords to use from other announcements that have a similar title. You don't always have to do that, but it does come in handy when the announcement that you're going to apply to doesn't have a whole lot of details offered. onetonline.org is a website outside of the federal government. It does not have a .gov website address, but it does come in handy, and I'll show you what it is. But essentially you can type in a job title and it will lay out a breakdown of all of the knowledge, skills, and abilities that job title typically requires. So it's really handy. Fast class, you can search by position description. This is an Army, Department of the Army website, but it is open to the public. And you can actually go look at all of the job descriptions that are currently active in the U.S. Army. And that allows you to, if you can find an Army position that you're applying for, a civilian position that you're applying for, you can actually go to Fast Class and track down the location and the series of the position and find the actual job description that's being used that was being used to build this announcement for that job. So you can actually go look at the job description for the job you want to apply for, and that should be a tremendous help in finding valuable keywords. That is open to the public. It is for the Department of Army, but the good news is, even if you're not applying to the Department of Army and you want to go to the Department of the Navy, you can still use Fast Class to find job descriptions that are similar to the one you want to apply to, even if it's in a different agency, and you can still oftentimes get some tremendous keywords from there as well. OPM classification standards. When a job description is first written by a supervisor and it's brought to HR, and the supervisor wants to create a brand new position, he hands that written job description to HR, and the HR specialist will review that job description against some standards that the government has set out, and that will help the HR specialist determine what grade level and what series that position falls under, so that we know what sort of salary they're going to get and things like that. That's called classification. When you take a job description, you compare it to the federal standards to determine what grade level the job is written at. That's called classifying. Classification standards are written descriptions of a variety of duties put out by the government, and the HR specialist compares these written job descriptions from the supervisor to these standards, and that's how the conclusion is drawn on what grade level it is. So as you can imagine, these qualification standards are very, very handy for coming up with some valuable keywords. And of course, I'm going to take you to all these sites, and we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into each one, but that's sort of the overview of it. There are two sets of standards. As you can see, the top bullet point there refers to general schedule or GS positions. The bottom one would cover the grading standards for the trades and labor positions. Those are WG positions. I'm also going to introduce you to some keyword analyzers. These are, again, non-government websites, but they're fascinating because they allow you to paste a bunch of content. You can copy and paste a bunch of content into the keyword analyzer, and it will tell you what phrases or which words are used most often in the content you pasted in there. And that's really handy because if you get a lot of information from the duties section and the occupational questionnaire and all of these other places I just listed, you can paste that into these keyword analyzers, and it will tell you which phrases and keywords are most common, and therefore you'll know which ones that you absolutely must use in your resume. I'm going to take you to two of those keyword analyzers. They're two separate sites. They're private sites, so they're, again, not government sites, but they are handy. You don't always need to use them, and most people can determine the keywords on their own, but it is a handy tool if you do need them. Okay, this is the Federal Jobs keyword tool. This is, again, something I put together just for you guys. This is my own invention, and it is a cheat sheet that's, I think, going to help you out quite a bit. But as you can see here, each different location where you can go to get your keywords is on here, and along with that I pasted a box where you can actually put your keywords into it. So I'll go to USA Jobs duty section, and I'll pull out all the keywords that I need from there, and I'll put them in here. And then I'll scroll down to the KSAs on the announcement, and I'm going to show you that in just a little bit as well. And you'll see that in the KSAs there will be some keywords that I'll want as well, and I'll populate them here in this box. And then I'll continue on down. In each case, I'll put the keywords that I found in that particular place in this box under the heading, but you don't have to do that. You can just put all the keywords in one location if you'd like. Especially in any kind of Word document, you could paste the keywords in there and just begin writing your resume once you have all those keywords saved into that one document. But this is designed to kind of make it easy and keep track of where you got what keywords from where. But again, you can always compile them into your own Word document. But we're going to explore each one of these locations here in just a little bit, and I'm going to show you what it is I do in terms of extracting the keywords and how I would paste them in here and how I would best utilize this system if I were to apply for a position. So let's head on over to USA Jobs Duty section. I'm going to find an announcement now that will allow us to comb through and harvest some valuable keywords from. So I'll see you over at USA Jobs in just a second. Okay, now I found an announcement that seems to have a lot of keywords in there that we can use, so I'm going to dive right in here. I found a medical support assistant position. This is a basic GS5 type position, and I thought it would be pretty good to use it as an example to demonstrate to folks how to get these keywords, specifically because medical support assistant is a common position at the VA. It's got a lot of turnover, and therefore it's often a great way to get your foot in the door in sort of a support assistant position and then move your way into the organization from there. So it's a great starting point. They're pretty common. There are many openings across the country regularly, so this is a good announcement to use, but you can do this with any announcement. And so what I'm going to do here is dive down into this announcement. We're going to get started exploring the duties section specifically. So the job overview and summary we can skip right now. We're not gonna get much out of there. That's sort of a broad overview. So what we have here are the duties. This is where they spell out what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. And this is a great place to pull some keywords. Now, one of the things you can do here is go through each sentence and look for some really good keywords to use. This is an introductory sentence, so it's not providing a whole lot of value. But when it's talking about what you will perform if selected, here are some keywords: administrative functions, provide advice to admin staff, to clinical staff. Those are good keywords, and we don't want to extract whole sentences. That's a key point here I want to make. You don't want to copy and paste entire sentences, because if you do that, not only is it going to look lazy to the supervisor if your resume does get through to them, but the HR specialist is going to be able to pick up on it because they wrote this. And if you're going to steal their entire sentences and put them into your resume, it's going to make them question whether you really do or don't have that experience. So you make sure that you do not copy and paste complete sentences. Pick out the keywords and copy them and paste them into the keyword tool. You can do that individually by each keyword, or you can do what I like to do, and that is, when I'm first getting started building a resume, is I'll take the duties section and I'll copy it and I'll paste the entire thing into my keyword tool here. And then what I'll do is I'll go through here and I'll pull out or delete everything that I'm not going to use. So all of the words that I don't want, I'm going to then delete. Written materials, reference materials, providing support for clinical professionals. So as you can see, I'm just getting rid of the fluff, and what I'll have left are the keywords that I specifically know that I have experience in. So that's the important part. You don't want to use keywords that you don't have any experience in. You only want to use the keywords that you have encountered in your past occupations. Okay, so this is going to go in your resume, and so you've got to be able to demonstrate not only during or in your resume, but also during the interview, that you have experience in these things. So you only want to use keywords that you have a legitimate experience with. Okay, I've not dealt with supplies. That's never been something that I've done. So I can't use that one. That's not a good keyword for me. It may be for you if you've got experience ordering supplies or tracking supplies, stocking supplies, and things like that. I don't have that experience, so I need to delete that because it wouldn't be fair for me to keep that in. It would be dishonest. I collect and maintain medical records. I personally don't have any experience with that, but I do have experience maintaining records. So I can say that I do have experience collecting and maintaining records. So I'm going to keep that one there, and then I'm going to keep looking here. Monitor, okay. If you have any scheduling experience for appointments, it doesn't matter if it was in another field or career field. It doesn't necessarily have to be in healthcare. If you have appointments or experience scheduling appointments in any previous job you've ever held, then that's a phrase you want to keep, you want to utilize in your resume and make sure that you can demonstrate that you do have some mileage in that arena. I didn't have any experience with that, so I'm deleting that. Do I have any receptionist experience? Not really, but I could probably stretch some of the things I did to demonstrate that. Have I greeted people? Yeah, I've greeted customers. So I want to use that. I want to keep that one. Maybe I haven't greeted patients, but I have greeted customers. Orientation. I've provided orientation to new employees at several different jobs that I've held, so I'm going to use that. I didn't keep the word patients in there, but that's okay. Again, you only want to use these important keywords that you have experience in, and I've got experience with telephone calls and talking to visitors. Checking in and checking out patients, those would be good keywords if you have experience doing that. Whether it's patients or not, it doesn't matter, but checking in and checking out customers is fine. I don't have that experience, so I'm going to delete it. I have used quite a few computer programs. Interpreting doctor's orders. No, personally, I have not done that, but if you have and you've got clinical experience, then certainly you want to keep that in there. I do have experience preparing forms, scheduling appointments, yes. Not for clinics though, but that's okay. That's not what it says. Collecting data, yeah, I've done that. So as you can see, I'm going to go finish. I'm going to pause the recording right now and go finish this up now. But you can get the point of this, right? Okay, that was essentially all the value that was in that particular paragraph. These keywords here that are remaining are exactly what I'm going to use to create the heart of my resume. So now that I've deleted out the fluff and taken out complete sentences, and all I have left are just a couple of phrases and keywords, then this is really a good start. This is a pretty good announcement. It gave a lot of details, so this is pretty quality information. So now I'm going to, in the next video, we're going to hop on over to the KSAs that are in the same announcement, and we'll do the exact same thing with those and put those down in the box below. Alright, now what we're going to do is scroll down in that exact same announcement, and we are going to identify where these mysterious KSAs are located. So specifically, we are after, typically they're numbered or bulleted. There are normally 3 to 5, sometimes there are 7 or 8. Typically there are rarely fewer than 3, but here they are right here. In some, and in many announcements, it doesn't clearly spell them out quite like this, but so you have to be on the lookout for something that's either bullet points or numbered. But the KSAs, these are items that you will have to address in your resume if you want to be qualified for the position. But KSAs are something that you're going to have to announce if you really want to be qualified for and get your resume moved forward to get yourself an interview. So I'm going to look at, it looks like in this case we have only 4, so these are pretty simple, very simple KSAs. Now I'm going to take them again and kind of repeat the process here on what I did the first time, and that is I'm going to paste them into the box under the KSAs. And then I'm going to delete out all of the fluff once more. I can communicate orally. I hope most everybody who's able to talk can state that. This says that I can communicate with staff, patients, and families. I might change that to with people from a wide variety of backgrounds. That's just a little note to myself to highlight that I can communicate orally, over the telephone and face-to-face, and in writing, either via emails or memos or letters that are sent out through postal service. I can do a lot of communicating with people from a wide variety of backgrounds and education levels. I've dealt with anywhere from executives to high school dropouts on any given day, so it's fair for me to say that. Now, that may not be true for you, but obviously I just want to make a little note to myself as I'm keeping track of those particular keywords, what it is I want to highlight about them. Just a little future note to myself. Apply rules, regulations. Yeah, I know rules and regulations. Most everybody who's had a job has to follow the rules and regulations. May not be with medical treatment in my case, so I'm going to delete that, but if it is your case, if it is in your case, then you can go ahead and keep that. Administrative tasks, sure. And if you can't think of any jobs you held where you had performed an administrative task, then consider any kind of clubs or sororities or fraternities that you were involved in, and whether you had to do anything that was administrative for them. Sometimes people volunteer for their church and they handle administrative activities, for example, and you can put that in here, even if you don't. If you've got a physical or a manual labor type job and you don't have a whole lot of administrative experience, you can often think back to some time when you had to fill out documents, paperwork, or dealt with an administrative environment, even if it was just a collateral duty or on the side. You can still mention those. Those are good things to keep in mind here. Okay, maintaining and supporting work. Yeah, I can do that if I'm in a supporting position. I'd have to think back. I think maybe in the military I might have done some of that. So I'll keep that in there as a maybe to myself, but in the end I may not use it, but that's okay, because now I've got these things that I need to talk about in my KSAs and in my cover letter and inside my resume, of course. So I didn't get a whole lot out of those KSAs, but the KSAs are put in there specifically by the supervisor to demonstrate what it is they're looking for. And so they are important. There may be very few keywords you're going to get from them, but those keywords that you do get, you definitely need to utilize. And utilize more than once if you can. So we're going to poke around on this announcement for a specialized experience section, and we'll see if we can extract some keywords from there. Okay, now we are going to move on to the specialized experience section of this announcement. It's actually up above in this announcement, so I'm going to scroll back up just a little bit, and we're going to try to find, again, often, not always, but often you can find them either in bullet points or numbered. In this case, what I'm looking for is where it says experience or education, and you can see here where it dives into examples of experience that would typically include, but are not limited to. So these are items that they're looking for. These are the experience they really want you to have. In addition to KSAs, they want you to have this stuff here. So I'm going to repeat the exact same process with these. I'm going to hop back over to the keyword tool. I'm going to paste them in there, and then I am going to eliminate the fluff and keep the keywords remaining. And I'm going to do that very quickly, and I'm not going to use up your time showing you how to delete those things, because I think I've already demonstrated that enough already. So I'm going to pause the video and then jump ahead once this is complete and kind of show you what I have left. Okay, so now I've taken out the words that are not really important. I'm left with all of the keywords that I want to use here. I did remove a lot of the mention that has to do with patients, because I didn't have any experience in patient scheduling or clinical experience, but I do have a lot of experience that's transferable, that translates into this position. I can verify orders. This doesn't have to be physician orders. It can be any kind of orders that you've used. I took the word physician out. VHA national guidelines, that's Veterans Health Administration. That's the section of the VA that handles the hospitals, that the hospitals fall under. I'm familiar with that because I worked there personally. If you haven't worked there and you're not familiar with those, then that's okay. You can delete those. Let's carry on with what you do have experience with, which is scheduling, canceling. So a lot of these keywords and phrases right here I can use, but it does look like I did eliminate quite a few, or quite a bunch of information specifically that was clinical related or patient related. Now, at this point, I would have to ask myself, am I really qualified for this position? I have a lot of transferable skills, but I haven't actually operated in an administrative area of a clinic. And the truth of the matter is that's something you're going to have to decide for yourself. But from my opinion, in my opinion, even though I never worked in a clinic, I still have quite a few of the keywords and key phrases from that announcement that I can demonstrate I have experience in and doing, because I've worked in a variety of administrative positions, just never in a clinic. So I've got a lot of transferable skills. Now, you may as well. And in that case, even though you're deleting the words that have to do with clinic, that's fine. But at this point, it looks like just from these three boxes, we have enough keywords to go off of. So I would say yes, if you have this many keywords, go ahead and apply. Let the HR specialist make the determination on whether you've actually got the specific experience they're after. But in this case, I'm going to take my experience and I'm going to spin it in a way that really addresses the needs of the position that I'm applying to. So I don't have very many keywords here from these three, but when combined, I do have enough, and I think I would be confident applying for this job and feeling that I could be qualified. Even though I have no experience in a clinic, I've got a whole lot of very similar experience that's look-alike to what they're doing day to day. All right, up next, we're going to jump into the occupational questionnaire and again find some valuable keywords to take out of there. Okay, we're going to move on now from the specialized experience section up to the occupational questionnaire. As I mentioned before, the questionnaire is the series of questions you're going to have to answer once you get inside the announcement. And you can find that right here near the top under How to Apply. If you click on that How to Apply box and scroll down, you'll see a link right here to the occupational questionnaire. That's going to take you to a separate website. It's going to just simply open up the questionnaire, and these are all the questions you're going to have to answer once you get inside of the announcement. And what we're looking for is down near the bottom, so I'm going to skip past all these basic questions that it's going to ask you once you're inside the system, because we really want to zero in on these type of questions. Again, we're near the bottom, so what it's looking for is your specialized experience. Now again, you can take a lot of keywords out of this this entire section, but you want to make sure that you're not duplicating what you've already taken out that was already in another section of that keyword tool. So I'm going to look down here a little bit further, and in this particular case, the questions are broken out according to the KSAs. So as you can see, this is KSA number 1, which we've already used and pasted into the keyword tool. But as you can see, it goes a little bit further in depth under that KSA, and in fact, it's gonna mention these particular items right here, which fall under KSA. Now it's asking you to rate yourself here on a scale of 1 to 5, but the key points you want to zero in on are down here, and they're numbered. And then it jumps to KSA number 2 down here, and then the key points under there. So this here under this KSA are the keywords that we're going to want. All right. Now I'm going to go back into the announcement, or excuse me, into the questionnaire, and I'm going to copy and paste everything that I want out of here all at one time. And then once I get over there once I get all of it copied and pasted into the this box here, this text box here, I will then start deleting the words that are not going to add any value, that are not going to actually be any of my keywords. So in this case, it looks like the announcement itself actually demonstrated, let's scroll back down here to the KSAs. So you can see here that it's describing the 4 KSAs here, but the actual occupational questionnaire that's inside the announcement only addresses KSAs number 1, 2, and KSA number 3. So it looks like they either forgot KSA number 4, or they didn't want anything in addition to that. So that could have been a mistake on their part. It could have been overlooked, but they're only giving us enough keywords to support 3 KSAs rather than 4. But that's okay, because oftentimes there is duplication of those keywords anyways. So I've now taken the keywords that fell under KSAs 1, 2, and 3 here and put them into the keyword tool. And now I'm going to go through there and delete all of the words again that are irrelevant, and then leave only those that are directly applicable to my experience with regard to these particular keywords. Okay, and with that, it looks like these are the keywords from that section that I'm going to end up with. So you can see I've reduced it down quite a bit, and some of it may be may duplicate some of the information above, but that's okay. I'm going to compile it all into one anyways. But for now, this is what I did extract from the occupational questionnaire. So as you can see, it did actually yield some high quality keywords, and a lot of people again don't know that you can look at the occupational questionnaire prior to applying. So this is this should be a kind of an eye-opener in that sense, but also in the sense that it does provide you with plenty of keywords to use for your resume as well. So now we're going to hop on over to the section on looking at announcements with the same title. We can often extract a number of keywords from there. So let's take a quick look and see what we find on that front. Alright, so now we're going to go back to this announcement, and I'm going to go back a page because I searched by job title in this particular case and did research medical support assistants and see what openings existed from just searching that keyword. And as you can see, what I've got here when I select open to the public, around 400 jobs are listed for medical support assistant, which is really nice because that gives us a lot of other opportunities to extract different KSAs, or excuse me, different keywords from these announcements. Now, what I like to do when I get to this point is I look at where the announcement's located that I just used. In this case, it's Long Beach, California, so I'll scroll down to the next one, and I'll keep going actually until I get to a different location. And the reason is because often if these are at the same facility, often it's the case that they use the same position description and they probably have the same keywords in them. So when I'm looking for a similar job title, I go to one that's at a different location because they may have different type of job descriptions and different type of KSAs and keywords like that. And so in this case, there is the opportunity to go in here and look at this one, supervisory medical support assistant. Now, this is for this demonstration, this is not the job I'm applying to, but the advantage here is that it's supervisory. And what that means is that these duties should be at a higher level than the keywords that we've used for the other one. As you can see, this one here now is a GS7 position, and because it's at the higher grade, it should have a little bit more sophisticated duties, and that's advantageous for our purposes because that allows us to pull out higher level keywords that are at the supervisory level, that would demonstrate that you can supervise and oversee rather than just perform the clerical duties of the position. As a supervisor and taking the keywords out of here, you should be able to demonstrate that you're not only capable of doing the job, but you're capable of being a leader in the job or capable of being a supervisor in the job. So that's the advantage of going to a higher graded position than the one you're actually applying for, is because you're using higher level language, or you're getting higher level keywords out of it. So from here, I'm going to pull out the duty section, and I'm going to hop back on over here. I'm going to paste those into there, and then we're going to jump down here and see what other kind of specialized experience This is great. This is an excellent example of specialized experience, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to paste it in here, and then I'm going to go down, and this is where it actually dives into some supervisory responsibilities. And even though you're not applying to a supervisory position, it doesn't hurt for you to utilize these kind of keywords that come from demonstrating that you not only can perform these duties, but you can actually lead in this capacity. So these are phenomenal keywords right here that are at a higher level. And so when you're utilizing these keywords at a grade level above the job you're applying for, that's great, because it's going to help the HR specialist who reviews your resumes determine that you're qualified a little bit easier, because you can not only do the job, do the work, but you can also lead and train and supervise and highlight those type of skills as well. So that's fantastic. Okay, it doesn't look like they broke out any specific KSAs. Oh, here they are. Okay, so it mentions KSAs here, but it looks like they're kind of tucked away in here. So we already grabbed this information, so we've got that. And then I'm going to jump on over here to the how to apply section, and we're going to take a look also at the occupational questionnaire for this job as well. And this one may provide some really solid keywords that we could use too. So again, the sections we want are down near the bottom. These questions up at the top are just to determine your eligibility to apply. So I really want to get down to where the duties of the position are highlighted and what sort of keywords we can get from them related to this. Here we are right here. Yes, this is fantastic stuff. This is a good list. This is a good announcement. This has all kinds of valuable stuff in it. So now what I've done is I've gone through this announcement over here. I've pulled out duties from, keywords from the duties, from specialized experience, from the occupational questionnaire. And as you can see now, I got quite a few from them. So I'm going to hop on over here, and then I'm going to pause this while I delete all of the fluff words, and then demonstrate for you which keywords are remaining when I'm all done, and to show you what your end product should also look like. Okay, and here we are with the remaining keywords. It didn't yield as many as I expected it to with all of the content that I had taken, but it doesn't matter. In the end, I got plenty of really nice, juicy, powerful keywords to use in my resumes and KSAs. So the other announcement with the same title was fine. I got this much from it. I could continue on down in USA Staffing and go to additional jobs that are announced that have the same title and pull more keywords out of there. But at this point, I think I'm actually doing quite well in terms of all of the keywords as a whole. This is going to be great. This is going to make for a great resume for this job. It's going to be very difficult for the HR specialist to find me not qualified once I utilize all these keywords and build a resume around these keywords. So I think we're set up pretty good. In just a second, I'm going to hop on over to ONET Online, and I'm going to show you what exactly it is and what value it provides, both in terms of the job that you're applying for and the jobs that you have held in the past. So let's move on to that one. Right now, we're going to hop on over to onetonline.org. The keyword tool actually has the web address here, so you can click on this address, or you can go to Google and search for ONET online.org, and that'll bring up the website that you need. This here is the website, and this is designed to essentially be a tool for career exploration rather, and job analysis. It has detailed descriptions of different jobs and career fields. So this is advantageous for two reasons. The first is you can actually type in there into the search box any type of job that you are applying for. Now remember, the job that we've been gathering all these keywords for is a medical support assistant. So I'm going to type in here a medical support assistant, and you will see what will come up. Now it's going to give you any of the jobs that actually have medical support assistant mentioned in them. And in this case, we're going to be looking for medical assistants or something like medical secretaries. Either of these could be worthwhile. We could probably get keywords from both of them. In this case, it's the closest to the federal government job title, so this is what I'm going to use. Now as I click on medical assistants, it's going to tell me quite a bit about what medical assistants do. It gives a description up here of some of the things they do. It talks about some of the tasks they perform, and as you can see, tools and technology. And then another section, the next section is kind of interesting. It actually breaks them out according to knowledge, skills, and abilities, which are the KSAs. So this information here is providing some really good keywords for you as well. It's also explaining here work activities and work context. For the most part, that's where it's all going to come in handy. The information that's down below is not going to be totally useful, but for our purposes. But if you can, and if you have time, scroll down and see if you can get some handy keywords from them. Now, in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up here to where it describes what they do, and I'm going to be on the lookout for some keywords. So, okay, so medical assistants actually prepare patients for examination, draw blood. Okay, the job description or rather the job announcement that we looked at for medical support assistant didn't mention anything to do with drawing blood. So in the federal government, it seems to be more of an administrative type position, whereas in the private sector, medical assistant does participate in drawing blood and puts her hands on patients. So that may not be as useful to us as what we would like, but there are still some crossover. You can see here this information would be useful, so I'm going to actually pull it and then paste it in here, because we can explore that and pull out the words that are going to be relevant to our application or our resume, but it would still yield some keywords. Now they may not be specific to the federal government or utilize those type of keywords, but we could still get some out of here. This might be an example of different type of electronic systems that you've used and that you may want to highlight your use of. So you may want to mention these also in your resume. I'm going to pull them out just for right now, but I may not use them just yet. That might be something I want to list down at the bottom of my resume, but not necessarily up in the duties descriptions or job history descriptions of my resume. Oops. Alright, so these here, I could also take some of these and utilize those and get some keywords out of those. So I'm going to do it with this one right here, and then I'm going to once again, I'm going to pause the actual recording here and go ahead and remove all the words that are fluff or not keywords that are going to be relevant to my resume. And at that point, we're going to have, I'm guessing, very few words to utilize, very few keywords, but we may get some. And those few that we get in this particular case could be, advantageous. But the second reason that ONET Online is useful is for yourself and your own job history. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you worked at, let's say, an auto repair shop, and you were auto repair technician, okay. So I'm going to type that in. Now let's say that that's what you did. And we're going to scroll through here and see if there is any administrative type titles that may have become aligned with that, like answering phone calls for auto repair shop or something along those lines, but that's okay. So I'm going to click on this top one, maintenance and repair workers, and if this is a job title that you've held, you can come in here and actually look at a description of the things that you have done, and you can extract from there the items that would have an administrative component to them. And then you can utilize those keywords for yourself in your resume, addressing the skill set that you've developed in your job as a maintenance or repair worker, and you can highlight why you have transferable skills and what those skills are that would make you qualified for an administrative type position. So here, for example, computer-aided design, CAD software. So when you're working with computer software, that's advantageous in an administrative type position. So you could utilize this if this was your job title or you ever held this before. Project management, that's a big deal. In today's day and age, project management skills apply to a lot of different jobs. So you could utilize that easily enough. Knowledge of English language, composition, grammar. You could talk about right here policies, procedures, strategies. So this is really giving you quite a bit of information that you could actually pull out and put into your own resume based on your experience, as opposed to what we did the first time with this particular website, which was search the job that we are applying to, that we're trying to get into. And then you can also come back and then search for these jobs that you've held in the past and extract some keywords from those that have an administrative spin to them. You're not going to get many in this particular case, and that's okay, but I just wanted to demonstrate to you why the ONET has two uses for you. But I'm going to head back over here to the keyword tool, and I'm going to pause the video and whittle this list down to just the keywords I want, so as not to waste your time watching me delete these words. Alright, so these are the words that I ended up with from ONET. Again, I didn't get a whole lot from them, but that's okay. You got the demonstration of how to do that on your own, and you may get more for your particular job, but in this case, for an administrative clerical type position in a hospital or clinic setting, I didn't get a lot of these keywords. But again, you don't have to apply to clinic positions, obviously. You can apply to whatever your background warrants, but in this instance, the transferable skills that I have that go into a clinic setting are fewer, only because I don't have the clinic background, but I do have the administrative component. So I did manage to get some of the keywords out of there, and I will utilize those. So thus far, it looks like we've got a pretty good collection of keywords to utilize. So again, I'm not. Don't stress it. Even if you come upon any of these. If you make efforts to gain keywords from any of these and you don't get any, if any of these boxes are remaining empty, it's okay. It's nothing to stress about, because some of the other boxes that you might try or some of the other locations you may go to might yield the keywords that you're really truly looking for. So it's nothing to stress. If you have half the box full of keywords, then that's fine. That should be good enough. Don't sweat it. Don't stress it. So now we're going to move on to FastClass. I'm going to introduce you to the location where the Army keeps all of their job descriptions. FastClass, that is the Army's job description database, essentially. So if you go to Google and you type in FASCLASS, it's going to take you to FastClass. So I've typed in FastClass here, and I'm clicking on the second link right there, which is open to the public. Now in this case, it's giving you a warning that potentially there is danger here, but it is a .mil website, so I'm comfortable moving forward. I'm going to click on advanced right here, and then down at the bottom where it says proceed, I'm going to proceed. It's going to take me to this site here where I can now search PDs, or position descriptions. Those are the job descriptions that are in their database. And in this case, I'm going to type in administrative support assistant. I'm going to hit enter. And lo and behold, here are all of the different job descriptions that are here for administrative support assistance inside the Army's job description database. I'm going to click on the top one just to show you an example of what one looks like. And this is an Army job description for an admin support assistant. It's giving you most of the details of the position at the top, but what we're after down here in the duties section, where it talks about the major duties. And this again is where we can pull quite a few keywords out of, as you can see. Travel, training, mail management, records management. I've got experience in all of those, so I'm going to pull those out. Quite a few details are listed here, so you can get a bunch of different keywords, noting deficiencies, file storage, attend meetings. I think we've all done that. So as you can see, I can continue scrolling down this job description and pulling out a lot of keywords. Very, very useful, very handy thing to know. Then I can also go to the OPM classification standards. If you put that into Google, OPM classification standards, click on the first site that comes up. In this case, I did hyperlink these, so when I upload this document, this keyword tool, up into Facebook, you guys will be able to actually click on this link and it'll take you to the proper website. Once you're here in the classification website, you can click on List by Occupational Series. And if we go back to the original announcement that we were applying for, the occupational series is going to be listed right here behind GS. It's going to be 303. That means it's an admin support position. So when we land on this site, we want to click over here for classifying general schedule positions because this is a GS position. I'm going to click on the standards word right here. I'm going to scroll down to 303 because we know that 303 is the series for the admin support. And here it is right here. Now what this is going to do is bring up the classification guide that helps HR specialists determine what grade level job descriptions are. This is telling you a whole bunch about the type of positions, and it may also have a lot of good keywords in it. This one is telling you that you can go to the grade level guide for clerical and assistance work, which is a second position, second set of standards that you can use to classify these positions. And this is getting a little deeper into it. But this is where it would talk about more specifically what these type of duties involve and how you can utilize them for keywords. So first GS6 level, and you can pull keywords out from all these sections, but this one here, I could use that and go in here to apply that into the box here. I'd want to use the word expert. I'd want to use processing transactions. My work conforms with policy and regulatory requirements. I work independently. It goes on and on, truthfully, but you can see how you can pull information out of that particular out of these classification standards. A lot of different keywords throughout this document. So now that we've got all these keywords so far, our resume is going to shape up to be really, really closely tied in with this position. So it's going to be hard for the HR specialist to find us not qualified if we're able to utilize the words that are in the announcement and massage them into our resume or write our resume around them. The keyword analyzers allow us to take a job description, or in this case, I'm going to use, this is the occupational questionnaire that we were looking at earlier. I'm going to take all of this stuff here and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to visit one of these keyword analyzer sites. I'm going to paste it in here. So I'm pasting information from the occupational questionnaire for the admin support assistant position. And then I'm going to paste also the duties. I'm just copying and pasting. And then I'm going to paste also the KSAs. And then I'm going to click on process text right here, this button right here. And it just analyzed all the keywords that we put in there, all the sentences that we put in there. And it gives you a breakdown of what the top two phrases are. The most common ones that include two words. These are the phrases, the two-word phrases that are most common in the announcement and the questionnaire. These are the words that occur most often from top to bottom. So what you'd want to do is look at here. The 8th most common word in everything I reported in there is reports. It appears 6 times. So the word experience appears 5 times. Administrative, division, meetings, data, correspondence, they all appear 3, 4, 5, 6 different times. So these are the keywords you definitely want to use and hit hard on your resume for every position that you apply for. Okay, so you can come down here and utilize those as well. I just copied and pasted as is from the screen, but you can do it independently with each keyword. And the same goes for the other system too. This does this second link right here. If you click on that, it does the exact same thing, and it breaks down how many times a certain words appear in everything you paste in there. So here you go. That is how to harvest keywords and utilize them, or how to gather them so you can utilize them for your resume and your KSAs. There are a variety of sources out there to help you out, but this is probably the most comprehensive way of doing it by going through all of these steps. You may not necessarily have to go through all of these steps. You could probably just focus on the top 4 because they're right out of the actual announcement itself. The duties, the KSAs, the specialized experience, and the occupational questionnaire. So the top 4 are the most important ones you want to do. And if it comes out that you don't have very many keywords from those because it's just kind of a weak announcement, then you can move on and maybe try some of these other techniques down here and see what you can find from trying those avenues as well. We discussed today why keywords are important. I showed you the keyword tool that I've built and will upload along with this video. Taught you how to locate keywords that'll make your resume and KSAs much more powerful, and hopefully that'll increase your chances of getting set up for a federal job interview. If you have any questions, you can reach me through the Facebook group. I hope you enjoyed the video.